Ever wonder how a Colombian footballer ended up scoring the opening goal of the FIFA World Cup for Mexico? Hi, I'm Leah, feeling totally excited to dive into today's topic.
And I'm Garrett, ready to explore this fascinating journey.
All right, here's where we begin. Julián Quiñones, Colombian by birth, later a Mexico international. He's a forward who can also play as a winger. He can play centrally to finish chances or drift wide to stretch defenses. Today we're tracing how he rose in Mexico's league system, then leveled up again in Saudi Arabia, and ultimately scored that World Cup opener for Mexico.
Before we get into the timeline, I've got a quick story. I caught him live with Club America in 2023, one of those big nights where the Azteca buzz feels like it's feeding the players. I'll be honest, I went in wondering if he'd deliver under that spotlight. America had stars, pressure, and a fan base that expects fireworks. Quiñones started wide left, and within minutes you could see the toolbox. He'd drift inside to act like a second striker, then snap back out to the wing to isolate a defender. His off-ball movement, which is basically the art of finding space before the pass arrives, was so clean. I remember a sequence where he checked toward midfield, spun behind the fullback, and took a diagonal through ball in stride. Not gonna lie, that timing had me nodding like, yeah, that checks out. Late in the match, tie game, and he gets half a yard in the box. Low shot across the keeper, kissed the inside of the post. Match winner. I walked out thinking that's a player who translates. Different roles, same output. He looked comfortable being the solution, not just an option.
That's close to the heart of it, versatility. And for anyone hearing terms like pressing or half space, quick note, pressing is just coordinated chasing to win the ball back high up the field. The half space is the channel between the wing and the center, where creative players love to receive and turn. Quiñones uses those areas like a carpenter uses a favorite chisel, precise and reliable, and he didn't just look the part at America. He became their top scorer in 2023-24 while they won back-to-back titles. That's so wild, right?
Totally. And big picture intro, just to set the table. Julián Andrés Quiñones, born March 1997 in Colombia. He built most of his professional career in Mexico, then signed for Al Qadsiya in Saudi Arabia in 2024. By 2026, he's a key attacker for Al Qadsiya and the Mexico national team. His calling card is consistency. He's put up double-digit league goals for different clubs, led America in scoring, then hit 33 league goals in Saudi in 2025-26 to win the Golden Boot. If you want an analogy, he's like a multi-tool that actually excels at each tool. Every league gave him a new job, and he still cut clean lines.
Let's unpack the early chapters. Picture this. Cali, Colombia, amateur side called Football Paz. Over the 2014-2015 season, he drops 50 goals in 38 matches. That number doesn't just raise eyebrows, it activates scout phone trees. Tigres UANL, a heavyweight in Mexico, brings him into their U20 setup. That's the pipeline into a senior squad known for depth and title runs. Quick definition for two words you'll hear later. Apertura and Clausura are Mexico's split seasons. Apertura is the opening tournament later in the calendar year, and Clausura is the closing tournament in the first half of the next year.
Early pro minutes can be tricky at a stacked club like Tigres, so they loaned him out. First stop was Venados in Ascenso MX, which is Mexico's then second division. In January 2016, he made his Copa MX debut against Cruz Azul and scored twice. A brace on day one. That's a hello, I'm here moment. Those cup nights are auditions, and he aced it.
Then came Lobos Buap, newly promoted to Liga MX in 2017. New teams often hand attackers real responsibility. In Apertura 2017, he hits 9 league goals, third highest in the tournament, then follows with 8 more in Clausura 2018. That's 17 across the league year. It told everyone this wasn't just a cup specialist or a one-tournament wonder. Meanwhile, he gets international seasoning with Colombia's youth teams. He played the 2017 South American U20 Championship, and in 2018, he won gold at the Central American and Caribbean Games and finished that tournament as top scorer. So the signs were clear. Goals travel with him.
Here's a twist. He returns to Tigres for Apertura 2018 and still struggles to lock down a starting spot. Ricardo Ferretti, known as Tuca, who's a long-tenured, title-winning head coach at Tigres, had a loaded attack and a hierarchy. It's a common big club bottleneck. You can be good enough, and the door still doesn't open consistently. He still collects silverware with Tigres, like the Liga MX titles in Apertura 2016 and Clausura 2019, and even the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League, which is North America's top club competition. But the minutes were choppy. That's the reality check part of his story.
Why would a club keep someone that productive on the fringes?
Depth and balance. Tigres had vets who had already delivered trophies, so the coach leaned on trust and pecking order. Also, style fit. When a system prizes specific roles, even a good scorer might not be the first puzzle piece the coach reaches for. That's why context matters as much as talent. Which brings us to the pivot point, Atlas in 2021.
New thread incoming. Atlas signed him on loan in June 2021. It's a club with a passionate following, and at that time, a 70-year league title drought. He clicked instantly. The loan became permanent by December. Then Apertura 2021 happens, and Atlas wins the title, first in 7 decades. That one gave me chills. And they follow it by winning Clausura 2022. Back-to-back champions. Add the 2022 Campeón de Campeones, which is Mexico's Super Cup between Apertura and Clausura winners. Individually, he earned Liga MX's Best Offensive Midfielder for 2021-22 and made the Best XN for Clausura 2022, plus a Liga MX All-Star selection in 2022. That run didn't just elevate Atlas, it recalibrated his reputation league-wide.
And momentum kept building. In July 2023, he transferred to Club America. That move means pressure and pageantry, and he handled both. America took the Apertura 2023 title, then the Clausura 2024 title, and capped it with Campeón de Campeones 2024. He finished 2023-24 as America's top scorer. So at this point, the pattern is undeniable. He changes crests, the goals follow, and banners go up. That's pretty cool, right?
Now the international turn. In May 2023, he declined a Colombia senior call-up. That's significant because under FIFA rules, once he played a competitive senior match for Colombia, switching would be heavily restricted. He had residency and a career in Mexico, so naturalization became a viable path. By September 2023, he was in Mexico's training camp, and in October, he completed naturalization, which is the legal process of becoming a citizen. He debuted for Mexico in November 2023 against Honduras in the CONCACAF Nations League. In March 2024, he scored his first Mexico goal at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, a 3-0 semifinal win over Panama. Real talk, that's a confident first year.
He also scored in a friendly at Kyle Field in College Station, which is usually an NCAA American football venue, and later scored at Estadio Azteca during the World Cup. Mexico, by design, plays a lot of marquee games in big U.S. stadiums to connect with fans there, so those goals landed in huge atmospheres. By 2026, he had 23 caps and 3 goals for Mexico, spanning competitive fixtures and friendlies.
Switching gears just a little. June 2024, he transfers from America to Al Qadsiya in Saudi Arabia for a reported $16 million. It's been described as the most expensive outgoing sale by a Mexican club. He steps into the Saudi Pro League and drops 20 league goals in 2024-25, plus he's the King's Cup top scorer that season. Then he levels up again in 2025-26, 33 league goals in 31 games, Golden Boot. In May 2026, he scores a hat trick in a 5-1 win away to Al Ittihad, one of Saudi Arabia's biggest clubs, and overtakes Ivan Toney on the final day. That's storybook stuff.
A few days later, in May 2026, he extends with Al Qadsiya until 2029, stability secured. Then comes the global spotlight. In June 2026 at Estadio Azteca, Mexico versus South Africa, he scores the opening goal of the FIFA World Cup. That sentence alone puts him in a tiny historical club. And in the bigger tally, his club career at that point sits at 325 total appearances, with 154 total goals across league, cup, continental, and other competitions. That's durability and production in multiple contexts.
Okay, let's move on to a question that pokes at the numbers. That $16 million fee to Al Qadsiya has been called a record outgoing sale by a Mexican club. Is it truly a record?
I'm down for saying yes, based on reported figures at the time. If you line up known disclosed fees for players sold directly by Mexican clubs, that number sits at or near the top. It also tracks with the Saudi Pro League's resources and their push to attract prime attackers. Given the transparency we do have, the record claim checks out.
I see it, but I kind of want an asterisk. Transfer accounting can be messy. Some deals are quoted gross versus net. Some include add-ons that trigger later. Others list only base fees. Currency conversion timing can wiggle the final number a bit, and comparisons sometimes mix apples and oranges, like sales by Mexican clubs versus sales of Mexico-born players by foreign clubs. So I'm not saying it's wrong, just that the leaderboard could shift as clauses mature.
Fair. The bigger implication, though, is perception. When a league exports a player at a headline number, it signals market confidence. For a player, it says your skill set carries value beyond domestic borders. For Liga MX, it points to a maturing export economy, even if the absolute fees aren't at European levels. And for Quiñones specifically, the fee set the stage for him to be the focal point at Al Qadsiya.
And it nudges fans to recalibrate what they think a proven Liga MX scorer is worth. Real talk, if the goal is to build sustainable pathways, having record-level sales, even disputed at the margins, helps. It tells the next Football Paz kid that the road from Cali to Mexico, to a wider world, is actually open.
Speaking of wider worlds, here's where it gets really interesting. Pop culture tends to circle back to identity and belonging. There's room for a docu-series tracking players who switch national teams through naturalization. Not as a controversy piece, but as a human story. What does it feel like to hear your new anthem for the first time in a packed stadium? How do family roots and professional opportunities overlap? With Quiñones, you've got tangible milestones: debut in November 2023, first goal in March 2024, World Cup opener in 2026, that mark the rhythm of choosing and then becoming.
Let's take a turn here into a what-if. Suppose Tigres had made him a consistent starter in Apertura 2018. What changes? I could see him becoming Tigres' leading scorer within a season or two. If that happens, Atlas maybe doesn't get their fairy tale signing in 2021, and that 70-year drought could have lasted longer. The emotional arc for Atlas fans would look totally different.
Right? And knock-on effects pile up. If he explodes with Tigres, maybe the market value climbs even higher by 2020 or 2021, which could reroute him to a different buyer entirely, not Atlas and not necessarily America. That also shifts award narratives. The best defensive midfielder nod in 2021-22 came in Atlas colors. In a Tigres-centered world, he might collect different accolades, but not be the face of ending a drought. And for Mexico, the timing could change. If he's already the guy at Tigres in 2018-2019, does that accelerate naturalization conversations or keep him more open to Colombia if they came calling earlier? That's something to chew on, huh?
Totally get where you're coming from. I'd add that player confidence grows with trust. If Tigres had made him a day one starter, he might have refined different habits. Maybe less time as a wide outlet and more as a penalty box reference point. That could slightly change his skill profile. The version Atlas got was lethal in transition and in those half spaces we talked about. Changed the development path, changed the emphasis.
And the storylines we now associate with him, the Atlas double in 2021-22, America's back-to-back in 2023-24, the Al Qadsiya Golden Boot run, might not assemble in the same order, or at all. The one constant I'd still bet on is his adaptability. Different leagues, different roles, same end product. He's shown that the finishing and movement translate. But yeah, alternate timelines would redraw a lot of club histories. Stay curious, everyone, and keep exploring amazing stories like these.
Thanks for joining us on Laid Back Learning. See you next time.